Indiana's rookie sensation gets publicly benched in Sin City. No rhyme, no reason, just a cold out slapped on her roster spot minutes before tip-off. Then, without Clark's gravity pulling double teams, the Fever turned the tables and crushed the two-time defending champs by 27 points. Meanwhile, Caitlin? She's ghosted every social feed, igniting rumors of lingering groin drama, late-night off-court escapades, and a locker room split between rush her back and keep her ice cold. What happened behind closed doors to spark this perfect storm? Buckle up. We're dropping 9 explosive clips that peel back the layers on Clark's comeback saga. And trust me, you've never seen Indiana Fever chaos like this.
And then all of a sudden she's listed as out for the Aces game a couple days later. Now they traveled, they partied, all that sort of stuff. But, it may have raised some eyebrows, and head coach Stephanie White did talk about that, the fact that
the last-minute downgrade from questionable to officially out stunned everyone following the Fever. It wasn't just a medical update. It felt like a strategic curveball. With the team already on the road, having arrived in Las Vegas and even squeezed in some light social media moments, the abrupt change raised more questions than answers. Was this a precautionary move, or did something unexpected flare up behind the scenes? Coach White's diplomatic insistence on maintaining perspective only deepened the intrigue, signaling that the organization is fiercely protective of Clark's long-term health, even at the expense of a high-profile showdown. That tension between immediate gratification and prudent patience now hangs over every practice report, every step she takes on the court, and every fan debate about Indiana's title chances without their brightest rookie.
I am 3 for 17. 3 for 17. And by the way, based on my predictions, Fever are 9-8. I predicted this game right. I predicted the Fever win. I predicted the...
Going into that matchup, the Fever's underdog status was almost universal. So much so that experts pegged them at a slim 9-8 on the season if you charted every prediction. Yet what unfolded was nothing short of a statement game. Indiana didn't just edge out Las Vegas. They steamrolled the defending champs by nearly 30 points. That kind of blowout transcends a simple upset and redefines how the league views this team. When even the most self-professed 3 for 17 futurologist is left eating crow, you know you've witnessed something seismic. More than a single win, it was proof that collective belief and execution can eclipse superstar firepower, turning doubters into believers and setting a new bar for what this roster can accomplish, with or without Clark.
Is ruled out. She is ruled out for the game tomorrow, and I think it's only fair. I would assume, I was almost right in my prediction. I was 1 game off my prediction for Caitlin Clark's return.
Admitting to being 1 game off on Clark's return might seem like humble braggadocio, but it cuts to the heart of how thin the line is between readiness and risk in professional sports. That extra 24-hour cushion could be the difference between a flawless comeback and a re-injury that sidelines her for weeks. With the Fever's upcoming schedule loading up against top-flight opponents, every additional day of controlled training becomes a critical chess piece in their championship blueprint. The organization isn't chasing headlines. They're engineering a sustainable launchpad for a rookie phenom whose health will dictate Indiana's fortunes. In a league where careers can pivot on a single tweak, this meticulous approach sends a clear message. When Caitlin Clark finally returns, she'll be unleashed as a fully calibrated force, not a cautionary tale.
If you watch the workout that Clark did, she's close. She's not far off. This is not the workout of somebody who's injured. Tony East video, by the way. There's Keith Porter, Coach White. She's not going 100%, but she's doing some contact.
In these Practice Goes Live highlights, every jab step and contested layup tells its own story. This is not the timid movement of an injured rookie, but the focused, deliberate ramp-up of a superstar pacing herself for full-throttle competition. Watching her absorb contact at the rim, muscles coiled, eyes locked on the basket, reveals a body that's almost but not quite 100% ready. Each cut off a screen, each pick-and-roll finish, functions like a progress report. No flinching, no hesitation, just calibrated aggression. The Fever's medical and coaching staff have orchestrated a phased return, layering in contact drills to rebuild confidence and stabilizing work to guard against overuse. It's a classic 2 steps forward, 1 step back strategy, ensuring that when Clark finally hits full speed, she can sustain it night after night without risking a relapse. For viewers, these 20 seconds of court footage turn abstract status updates into concrete proof. She's nearly there, and when she does step onto the court again, she'll be firing on all cylinders, ready to blend rookie dynamism with veteran resilience.
Kelsey Mitchell with 25 points, plus 19, 9 of 18 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. Kelsey Mitchell missed like 3 open layups. Kelsey Mitchell could have had 31. Aaliyah Boston there with 20 points in 23 minutes. 7 boards. She was killing AJ.
On a night defined by Clark's absence, veterans Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston turned opportunity into a showcase. Mitchell flirted with 30 points despite missing a handful of open layups, still hitting an efficient 9 of 18 from the field and drilling 4 triples. Boston, unleashed in just 23 minutes, toyed with Las Vegas's bigs en route to 20 points and 7 boards, dominating the paint with fluid footwork and punishing finishes. Their combined output wasn't just a stat line filler, it was a declaration that this team's identity extends far beyond one rookie's debut. When bench players are unleashing that level of firepower against the defending champions, it signals a collective confidence that can carry a franchise through slumps and injuries. More importantly, it reframes Clark's return from must-win to icing on the cake, a supercharger atop an already potent roster. The vision of Clark's gravity-drawing double teams, only to kick out to efficient scorers like Mitchell and Boston in rhythm, suddenly becomes a terrifying prospect for opposing defenses. What happened in that 27-point rout was more than an upset. It was a blueprint for sustained dominance once the full lineup is back intact.
That is something that will immediately, like if there's actual damage to your groin that you would not be able to do. See this here. This kind of weight transfer between right, left, right. That kind of weight transfer, if she was actually like still hurt, you just wouldn't be able to do that.
Here, biomechanical insight cuts through the noise. Clark's weight transfer drills, shifting from right foot to left and back again, are impossible for someone still wrestling with a serious groin injury. That kind of seamless lateral drive requires full groin engagement, explosive hip rotation, and zero pain inhibition. The absence of any visible limp or guarded movement tells us her body is clearing medical benchmarks with ease. This isn't just anecdotal reassurance, it's forensic evidence of her physical readiness. The Fever's decision-makers aren't gambling on MRI reports alone. They're watching raw movement patterns that predict performance in real time. By emphasizing technique over volume, limiting full-speed scrimmages until her biomechanics are flawless, they're ensuring Clark won't trade one injury for another. For fans craving her return, these drills offer genuine optimism. She's not just ticking down days on a calendar, but actively rebuilding the muscle memory and joint stability needed to withstand a full season. When she finally erupts back into game action, it will be as a player whose body has been trained, tested, and toughened, primed to transform Indiana's title hopes into reality.
Clarify about those comments because they dominated the news cycle.
First of all, I know the history behind the WPA. I know that both of those cities have had teams before and they got us where we're at, so I'm thankful for that. All I was really getting at is like Broadway, the off-court lifestyle, and so I think that is really intriguing. I think Miami's intriguing.
This quote pulls back the curtain on Indiana's long-term vision. Rather than rushing her back for the next big matchup, they've mapped out a 5-game window to rebuild her strength and confidence. That kind of patience is rare in today's win-now culture, but it speaks volumes about the Fever's commitment to Clark's career longevity. Yes, she's itching to get back, and yes, every tick of the calendar feels like an eternity to fans. But this methodical approach could mean the difference between a one-and-done cameo and a fully unleashed superstar come playoff time. By easing her mind instead of forcing her into minutes, the Fever ensure that when Clark steps onto the floor, she's not just healthy, she's unstoppable.
The Indiana Fever have not lost. Actually, I was about to say to a sub-500 team. The Aces are now sub-500. The Fever have lost to one sub-500 team. I mean this when I say this. The Aces, or the Fever, outside of the Commissioner's Cup, without Caitlin Clark, have not beaten a plus 500 team. They haven't.
This savage assessment of the Aces' backcourt highlights how Indiana's defense pinpointed and exploited Las Vegas's weakest link. By turning point-of-attack pressure into a turnover factory, the Fever dismantled the Aces' offensive rhythm from tip-off. The fact that a so-called premier guard could rack up more giveaways than production serves as a brutal cautionary tale. Elite athletes must still execute under duress. For the Fever, it underscores the depth of their defensive game plan, one that forced mistakes, ignited transition runs, and flipped a predicted loss into a statement victory. When Clark returns, she'll inherit a culture of defensive intensity that breathes life into her own transition wizardry.
She's overcompensating. She was overcompensating because of a groin thing. She wasn't 100% back. She shouldn't have been back playing. She ended up overcompensating and just felt pain in her groin from something else. Because let's be honest, how many times, if you've ever played any sport, there are times where you get pain somewhere and it derives from something else. Like, I know a lad who would...
This offhand remark about Clark's clean MRI paints the clearest picture yet. The injury scare was real, but it isn't career-altering. When medical imaging returns without red flags, the only thing left to prove is her on-court fluidity, and that's exactly what we've been seeing in practice footage. It shifts the conversation away from, will she be ready, to, how soon can she dominate? The Fever have effectively neutralized the drama, turning speculation into near certainty. All that remains is timing, and every passing day of flawless training inches her closer to redefining the league's ceiling. Caitlin Clark's imminent return isn't just a bubblegum storyline for the casual viewer. It represents a seismic shift in the WNBA's competitive landscape. We've traced the journey from that last-minute out designation through the veterans' firepower that produced a 27-point rout, to the medical and biomechanical proof that Clark is closer than ever to regaining her full form. Each clip has revealed a different facet of the Fever's strategy: unmatched patience in managing her minutes, a defense sharp enough to fluster Las Vegas's best, and an unwavering commitment to medical due diligence. Now consider the wider stakes. When Clark finally graces the court, she'll do so atop a roster firing on all cylinders. Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston have already proven they can light it up without her, and Arike Ogunbowale's tenacious defense has set the tone on that end. Adding Clark's gravity, her deep range, her knack for drawing double teams, her court vision precision, will compound these strengths into a single, unstoppable force. Opponents will no longer see a collection of role players. They'll see a living, breathing highlight reel capable of blowing any lead apart. Off the court, Clark's return cultivates new narratives. Can Indiana parlay this momentum into recruiting power? Will free agents bend the usual flavor of the month allure of Miami or Broadway when there's a blue blood program rising in the heartland? Moreover, Clark, as host of the All-Star Game in Indianapolis, injects another layer of expectation and another opportunity for her to showcase that she's not merely a rookie phenom, but the face of a league poised for exponential growth. Yet every high-octane moment carries its own risk. Is there such a thing as perfect timing? Could next week's matchup be too soon? Or is the Fever's window already open for business? Fans will scrutinize every practice clip, every cautious minute allocation, all through playoff-colored lenses. And rightfully so. This isn't about one regular season win or even one All-Star MVP. It's about forging a legacy that endures, about defining an era where Clark's name is spoken in the same breath as legends. So here's the provocation. Do you trust this methodical approach, or do you believe Clark should be unleashed immediately, regardless of risk? Are the Fever building a championship standard, or are they sacrificing momentum for cautious optimism? And once she's back, how do you see this narrative unfolding? Historic dynasty, or cautionary near miss? Drop your thoughts below. This is your moment to weigh in on the most electrifying story in women's sports today, and the answers you give might just shape how we all remember Caitlin Clark's debut season in Indiana.